Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Salta room. So far, this session, this has been QGIS Central, which has been really exciting and interesting to learn about. And our next speaker, Adam Laza, is going to extend the conversation to QGIS and vector tiles. Just sort of one quick note for those of you who are staying in this room. Kodrina Lee is the co-moderator here. I've done the first 3 sessions, and in the handoff at the end of Adam's talk, Kodrina will be taking over the room for the rest of the afternoon. So I'm going to introduce Adam. And I have a hint that his talk might be humorous based on his bio, and here's what he says, which validates him as a very interesting person already. Born in the Czech Republic, was always a smarty pants in math and geography in primary school. Started coding in high school, even though they forced him to use Pascal. It didn't scare him off. He then went off to the Czech Technical University in Prague for geodesy, cartography, and geoinformatics. And during his studies, worked in surveying, flew a drone, created ortho photos. And then he got into Python, PostGIS, and open source. He contributed to GRASS and PyYPS, wrote plugins for QGIS that never went public, and attended Google Summer of Code. Working on his master's, he studied for 1 year in Valencia at the Universidad Politécnica, where he was cheating on Python with Java and drinking liters of horchata. Sounds like a fun year. After graduation, with excellence, he went traveling and hit the road for 2 years as a backpacker. And finally decided to get a real job, and we're benefiting from that here. Since the spring of 2020, he's been working on MapTiler as a data engineer and developer, who helps maintain the OpenMapTiles project, takes care of data in the company's own maps, and is the main developer of the MapTiler QGIS plugin, which this talk is going to be about. So thank you very much, Adam. The stage is yours for the next 20 minutes. So we'll give you time prompts in the chat, and then feed the questions that come in from the audience. And for the short term, Kodrina and I will disappear. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Michael. So my name is Adam Laza, and as Michael already said, I work in MapTiler, where we develop grid and satellites map of the entire world, and we run a platform which makes it easy to integrate your own data into maps. We also maintain OpenMapTiles project, which I will mention a little bit, and we develop the QGIS plugin, which this talk will be about. But at the first, a little bit theory about vector tiles. I will try to be quick. So vector tiles are usually in pseudo-Mercator projection, which is quite handy because entire planet fits into the square at zoom 0. And each tile can be found under address ZXY. And each tile is split into 4 smaller tiles at the next zoom. So far, this is pretty much similar to raster tiles. But unlike raster tiles return PNG or WebP image. Vector tiles are served as a binary PBF file. And this PBF file is very small. And it keeps just data, not style. So if you open this file in QGIS, you will get something like this on the screen. So just raw data split into different layers. You can see there are line layers, point layers, polygon layers, and there is something we call a vector tile schema, which defines what data are stored in tiles. This schema definition can be easy if you want to have just some points in your tiles. But if you want to get a real map, the schema can get quite complicated. Luckily, there is an OpenMapTiles project, which is open source and defines the schema for street maps. It uses OpenStreetMap, Nature Earth, and Wikidata as data source, and it's actively developed. There is quite a large community. There are many PRs every month, and this schema defines, like for example, it says, okay, at Zoom 4, show me just oceans and show me just land cover, and maybe show me country borders and country's name. But at Zoom 5, at line layer, but at line layers with attributed, the line is highway. It's some important highway, and also generalized geometry. So that's what's defined in the vector tile schema, and that's what's OpenMapTiles about. If you want to know more, there will be talk by my colleague Tomas Pohanka, who knows much better. So it's tomorrow at the room Buenos Aires at 10 a.m. Buenos Aires time. Okay, so as I said, the tiles keep just data. So if you look at the picture, it gives you very little visual information. If you want to have some nice visual appearance, you need to give your tiles some style. Style is defined in another file, which is called style.json. It's just a JSON file, and it's based on GL style specification. Style.json contains several features. There is a list of layers, which is in the style. There is also a list of sources, because in one style you can have several sources of your vector or raster tiles, and it contains metadata and links to sprites and fonts. So if you have your style defined, you can take these vector tiles and give it some visual appearance. So if you look at this style with just raw data, I don't know if any of you can say what's on the tile, but if you give it a style, you can see that it's a tile that at Zoom 6 that contains the whole Switzerland. And as you can see, you can have just one data source of vector tiles, but you can use different style JSONs, and each style JSON gives your vector tiles different feel and look and different kind of purpose. Okay, so that was the theory about vector tiles, and let's go to QGIS. So QGIS started to support vector tiles in version 3.14. It was developed by Martin Dobiasz, who had talked about the point cloud, and so he's the one who make it real. In the first version 3.14, it was possible only to add raw vector tiles without style. So if you wanted to give your vector tile some style, you had to either use QML files or use MapTiler plugin. In next version 3.16, the code from the MapTiler plugin was ported in the QGIS core classes. So now it's possible to style vector tiles directly from QGIS. But you have to style each source separately. So if you have style JSON with multiple sources, MapTiler plugin is still the easiest way how to do it in just few clicks. Okay, so about the plugin, as I said, it's really easy way how to add style vector tiles into QGIS. It's open source, developed here in MapTiler. There is a GitHub repo with bug tracker there, and is also in the QGIS plugin repository. So it's really easy to install it just from the menu plugins, install and manage plugins as you would do with any other plugin. The plugin comes with several default vector maps, which are hosted on MapTiler Cloud. They are tested to look good in QGIS, but if you want to use them, you need to API key, which I will show later. You can get API key to MapTiler Cloud on the website. Just sign in with your Google account, and you can choose a free plan. And you want to just have a look, it's good enough. But you are not just limited to maps hosted on MapTiler Cloud. If you have your own server or you have your style.json hosted anywhere, you can use the MapTiler plugin as well, and you don't need any API key. The API key is only if you want to use maps hosted on MapTiler Cloud. The first version of the plugin was released in June 2020, just after the support for vector tiles was introduced into QGIS. And just last week, we released version 2, where is some major improvements in the visuals. We took some improvements from the ported QGIS core classes. There is added support for icons, which were really missing. We added outdoor map into our maps, which we provide through this plugin. You can switch label of the points to different languages, and printing was improved. So if you need to print in high DPI, it's much better now in the newer version. But what actually the plugin does? Well, as I said, style.json is defined in GL style specification. It's a JSON, and you can see it on the left side. On the left side, you can see, okay, create a layer called land use residential. It will be polygon, and the fill property of this polygon will be color property will be this color defined in RGBA, and set it an opacity 0.7. And the plugin converts this into QGIS styling. So if you are used to QGIS symbology, you will see that on the right side there is this color defined, and there is the opacity defined. So this is quite easy. It's just static value, so no big deal. It can get a little bit complicated when in style.json there is like a dynamic value defined. So as you can see on the left side, the style.json there is defined that from zoom 13 use this color with opacity 32%, but at zoom 14 there should be no opacity. So on the left side in the style.json, this style definition is defined on 5 lines. It's quite easy to read. But if you want to parse it into QGIS styling, you have to use some expressions, and the definition of the style on the left side be the same as on the right side, but you can see that on the right side it's much complicated. You have to use case expression, and you have to use color HSLA function, and you have to use scale linear function for interpolation. So some expressions are hard to convert, but the plugin still can do it. But then you can have expression like this in the style.json, and that's the moment when plugin says no. Okay, we would like to improve this in the future. but there is a lot of expressions in style.json which are quite hard to convert. But we are open to any contribution. So if you want to help us with this, we are happy and we are welcome for that. But this is just a heads up. If you have a style.json with very complicated expressions, the QGIS plugin might give you a warning that okay, this is too complicated for me. If you use simple expression, you should be good. Okay, so let's show some demo. Okay, so as I said, the installation is very easy. Go to MapTiler menu, plugin menu, search for MapTiler, and it will be added into your browser panel between the other sources. And this is the predefined maps that the plugins offers. If you want to edit just like this, you will get an error because you didn't confirm your API key. You can go to the cloud. Okay, I'm already signed in, so I can copy this API key, but otherwise you would just sign in with your Google account and get the API key. I copy this one, go to QGIS, paste it. I should be good to go. Okay, so that's it. That's vector tile map at zoom 0. This is the basic one. You can zoom in, and this is where all the style definitions start to appear. As I said, we define we offer multiple styles. If I remove basic, we have street one. From the others, we have also satellite one. It's or we call it hybrid. And as I said, there's in the style there could be some expression which the plugin couldn't handle, so it gave me a warning. And if I open it, okay, there's an expression in the interpolation function which is not supported. So usually it just falls back to some default, in this case into the default interpolation. So instead of some interpolation with the difficult expression, it will use just linear interpolation. In the newer version, we added the outdoor map. And as I said, if you want to add vector tiles through QGIS, you can add one source and you have to style each source. And for example, this outdoor map consists of four sources. So you would have to add each of these sources separately and style it separately. With this plugin, you can do it in just one click. So this is an outdoor map, and on this map, I think we could show that via this plugin, you can get really nice. You can get some nice exports or printing materials because you can export the map into PDF and get like 300 DPI. And save it. And if I open it and zoom in, because you are printing in vectors, you will get like level of sharpness which is like impossible to get with raster. if you want to use this plugin for printing and exporting, and you are using maps from MapTiler, just check our terms and condition, because you might need a different plan for this, as we provide some not just our data. Okay, I think that's pretty much that. I will look into my slides if there's anything more. Oh, so yeah, that's what I talked about. MapTiler plugin, easy way how to add style to vector tiles. We provide some default maps, but you can add any style.json, and really cool for printing and exporting. That's it.
Great stuff. Always respect a man who will demo live on a presentation and performed beautifully. Great stuff. Thank you, and definitely caught the audience's attention. We have a number of questions out there. The first one is, I think you just covered it. Are there any license restrictions for printing with QGIS MapTiler plugin? And if I understood correctly, you said
yes, there are. If you go to plugin repository, I think there is a link to our terms and conditions. So please follow these.
Another question is it possible to use custom QGIS forms with the vector tile layer?
Can you repeat that?
Is it possible to use custom QGIS forms with vector tile layers?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know QGIS forms.
Okay. Another question, I'm not sure I understand it, but perhaps you do. Can we use the vector tile source with any kind of authentication? For example, Esri vector tile with access token?
I know what you mean, and I'm not sure because the plugin reads style.json, and usually the authentication is done through the API key in the URL of the source. So I don't know, but I guess if you can, the S3 supports like authentication via directly the token in the URL. It's possible. Otherwise, I'm not sure.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question. I apologize to anyone who has a question that we're not going to get to. There are a lot of good questions out there. Again, feel free to reach out to Adam directly or the MapTiler team and send any questions that didn't get answered directly. So the last question was, can you write MapTiler vector tiles to MBT tiles or XYZ in QGIS?
No, not in QGIS. And if I'm not sure if it's okay if you're doing that. Like it's like scraping our tiles and saving them into your MB tiles. If I get that question correctly, and I would say no. But once again, I'm not sure if I get it correctly.
Well, that makes sense, and you know, again, in the open source world, it doesn't mean everything is completely free and open. There's still copyrighted technology, terms and conditions of licenses. So using the software, but using it in an appropriate way. So it's always good to check what those terms are. And
yeah, reach out to our team, and we are happy to provide. For someone who has more knowledge than me, is happy to provide an right answer.
Great. Well, thank you again, Adam. Great presentation, great piece of work, and hopefully we'll all see each other next year in Italy.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, Michael.